All right, so let's start. Hi, everyone. I'm Yash. I run VaanarStack, and I've been into performance marketing and related automations and everything for quite a bit. I would say performance marketing for quite a bit, and the AI automations part is something new that that is very exciting, and I'm trying my hands on that. Right, and if you have joined some of the previous sessions earlier, we had done a couple of sessions on how to use Google Ads MCP or Meta Ads MCP. The current one that we are going to use will primarily run on Claude Code, right? And I will show a skill that a very simple basic skill on how to do a landing page audit. We all sort of, if you are in performance marketing, you are live and breathe this entire thing of auditing landing pages. That is the bread and butter. But how do we standardize some of the processes so we are able to get some automated results, right? So we are going to focus on that. I'll just share my screen and then we will start. Okay, I hope I'm audible. Anybody can just say yes.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so that's what we are going to do. Audit a D2C product page with Claude. Now, just for many of you might be already working on Claude Code, you might be knowing it, but just for people who maybe are familiar with Claude in general, but not Claude Code, what is the difference? In Claude Desktop, if you have worked on, or if you're using Claude on web, you share some prompts and it does some actions on the web browser itself. With Claude Code, you are able to give a lot of access to your files in the system and do some additional steps. Like, for example, we will see when we do the audit of a landing page that you need to send some API requests, etc. All that is something that can be done via Claude Code in a very native manner, because it sort of acts as your terminal, as if you are coding and you are just giving instructions in natural language and it is coding for you. So this is, again, this line itself, a flimsy line, is written by Claude itself. You know Claude, this is Claude with hands. So we are going to look at Claude Code and how this audit is set up, right? Now, before I jump and show what it is, just one concept. And again, I understand many people might be knowing this already, but just for the larger crowd, in Claude and in Claude Code, for example, there is a concept of creating these skills. So what is a skill? Like, if let's say you prompt something, you get an answer, but then that conversation, that action is sort of lost within that window. But if, let's say, you convert an action to a skill, so for example, like auditing a landing page, that this is something that I would be doing day in and day out, right? I would be doing it for different brands, multiple pages, and sort of I will be using my similar framework or knowledge to do that audit. Then I can convert that to a skill so that I do not need to prompt it again and again. I can define a series of actions within that skill, and it always uses that context, that framework to analyze it, right? So that is what is a Claude skill, and it depends on a markdown file which is called as skill.md, and we'll look at examples of these. And this is just if a prompt would work once, but a skill would sort of work every time. What is inside a skill.md file? Nothing fancy. It is just basically a series of instructions. And we will look at how a markdown file is created as well. But just what are the steps? If, let's say, you want to measure the page speed, you want to analyze whether the call to action is in the first fold or not. Those are the kind of things that you will write and give instructions that here are the 10 parameters that I want Claude to analyze it against, and it will note it down and ensure that all those things are done all together, and then provide you in a proper report. So this is just a blueprint or an outline for Claude to remember that these are the things that it needs to do, And you don't need to write this from scratch. It is something that Claude itself will write based on the framework or the inputs that you are giving. Right. Now, before I move to this part, like how is it created and all, let's just look at a very quick demo of what a skill works like how does it operate, and then we will go to this how it is set up is done. So I'm initiating Claude in a new window, right? And the way to call skills. Now, this is something that I've already created, right, for this demo purpose. So I'm just calling landing page audit, right? And it is giving me description also that audit a landing page or a D2C e-commerce product page, etc. And it is giving me this structure, which is already predefined, right? So now I'm going to just pick one of the URLs from example, and just let me just pick the first one. What Arpit has shared. So I'm just picking this URL, pasting it over here and saying, so these are like unstructured prompts that you can give. I know it is a health supplement, so I can just say D2C health supplement, right? And I've just called this skill. Now it will ask me certain permissions, etc. It will run for a few minutes. And so you see, it is asking me certain permissions for running some commands, etc., which are predefined, but it will run and provide an output. Now, this might take few minutes. So in those few minutes, I'll show you an output of what it will be. And we'll see the output of this particular run also. But in the meanwhile, we'll see an output of another audit that I had already run, and I created a document with help of that, right? So if you see this particular document of landing page audit, this entire document is completely created by Claude. There's not a single word or anything that I have written, and you would see a very similar output of the iteration that is being run right now for that particular page. So what it tells is, I just searched for protein bars on Google search and picked one of the brands. I've hidden the brand name, etc. But basically, it analyzed whether in the first fold, it took screenshot of the first fold and analyzed whether there's this call to action or not. And this is something for this brand. What they were doing was they were opening their cart window by default. So it has captured that. And if you see the comments that it has written, trust forward Shopify PDP with the commercials fundamentals in place. So basic headline commercials are in place, but it leaks conversion above the fold, no USP subheadline. So there is no subheadline over here which is saying what are the main benefits or the USPs, right? Runs a 5% discount versus sibling studies. So it also researched other competition and is telling that other competition players are running 30 to 40% kind of discount. Now, this could be a brand's call whether to run that kind of a discount or not. I'm not saying that this is sacrosanct, this is the right thing, but it just did a competition comparison and says that other brands are doing this kind of discount. Has no urgency, scarcity, and is dragged by a 6.8 mobile LCP. So it also ran a page speed result, which documented that the mobile LCP, and if you are auditing landing pages LCP, which is the largest content pool paint, and you can, this is just the Google page speed insights that you get. 6.8 is somewhere which is ideally it should be like 2.5 seconds or 3 seconds or lower, but 6.8 is, I would not say very like really worse, because I've seen pages with 10-15 seconds also, but it is something to be optimized. Like we need to get this to 1-2 seconds for proper conversion input, right? So, and then it is showing other points, etc. I would like to highlight over here top 3 quick wins, right? Sell the bar above the fold, add a USP subheadline plus 3-4 green check benefit bullets under the title, like 15-gram protein, 6 sources, low sugar, lab tested, etc. Make add to cart the single dominant CTA. Right now, there are 2 CTAs which are there. It is not visible over here, but if again, over in screenshots, it is not there, but in the page, there were 2 very prominent CTAs. And generally in UX, you would want to define, like, give importance to one of them, right? And like gray out the other one. Cut mobile LCP from 6.8 seconds, right? So this is something that are the top 3 quick wins that it has given. And then it is showing screenshot of the pages. This blur thing I have like done manually after it had created the report to just not share the brand name. And then a conversion scorecard on different aspects that we have already established as a framework. Right, so like whether there is a sticky nav, so there is a mobile sticky buy now bar, full desktop sticky nav, unconfirmed. Easy way to ask questions, there is a floating WhatsApp button. So it has analyzed against all these parameters and given whether it is good, bad, ugly, what kind of result is there, right? So that's what an audit is. I'm just, there will be a few more permissions it will ask me for running the audit. And in between, I'll just switch to that window to give those permissions. But you can see that the kind of detail that it has given. And these kind of details is something which is completely customizable. It is something that can come from your own framework, right? And so generally we have some maybe 5-6 important factors, and then we have a checklist of 20-25 things that there should be ratings, there should be FAQs, it should be clear what is the returns refund clarity. So you see those pointers have been added over there, and it is a quick check to see whether or not those aspects are covered over here or not, right? And yeah, so it is, so right now, if you see, it is saying analysis is complete. It is writing the markdown report. So let's see, in a minute or so, we will have the result for the page that we have run here. Okay, while it writes the report, let me cover some more ground over here. And now to create this, what I was sharing in the earlier presentation, right? That what is it that is required to do this kind of setup. And there are 2 distinct parts to it. One is the checklist. Now, this all together, people use the term harness, that you are providing a harness to the LLMs to sort of use their raw power of analysis. And you are providing sort of, you can call it a framework or a checklist or an outline guideline. In LLM terms, this is now known as the word that you're creating a harness to actually get guided results, right? But in very layman terms, what is it? There are like 2 parts. One is the checklist, like what to judge. And this is something that if you are in the marketing field or if you are doing landing page audits already, these are things that you already know, right? That call to action should be in the first fold. It should be like a sticky button, or what are the main benefits. It should come in the first fold and all. And that first fold becomes the most important aspect of it, right? Regarding the page speed and all that. So that comes from your expertise. So in this case, the pointers that you are seeing over there, I had given those inputs to Claude. And of course, Claude also brainstormed and then maybe refined it in a particular structure and all, and provided that, right? So, so first part is that you create that checklist, and the second is the tooling. That okay, if it has to do those 5 or 10 steps, then how exactly is it going to do that, right? And that is where Claude Code is very useful in sort of providing that structure and creating that skill. Now, checklist is very simple, right? This is something that we already know in terms of these different checkpoints. Now, what was possible earlier versus an LLM-based model is things like this, 5-second clarity. Now, these are subjective questions, right? So this is not something that you can mathematically, you can page speed insights, people used to audit, and we would do like whether keywords are stuffed or not, all those things we would do even before LLM or before Claude and all these things came into being. But the kind of subjective things that are there, whether benefits is written or not written, whether 2 CTAs are there, this is now possible with the help of these LLMs and with very easy interface and creation, right? So so these are the pointers that come from you, and then you refine with the help of Claude. It is good to create a more expansive checklist based on your, so always bring in your expertise, your experience to create that checklist, right? And then Claude would infer what evidence is needed, right? So for example, to judge that, like it has written, to judge all that, I need a screenshot. I need the buttons and forms and all. And accordingly, it will create a technical workflow. It will create an outline. And of course, in that outline, then you will have to do certain things. But that's the process in which it will take the requirement that, okay, I need to automate these steps. Now, this is the way by which I can create the tooling, right? So what is happening over here right now? So first is there is a page, right? I gave a link. Claude needs to render the page. In this particular case, it is using Playwright. Now, these are technical terms, which I must honestly tell you, even before I did this, I also didn't know about it, that there was a Chromium, which is an open source headless plugin to like render browsers, or Playwright is a code which does that. It is all something that Claude Code suggested that this needs to be done. It made sense, so I used it to do it, right? So if you are a marketer thinking that, okay, these seem like too much of technical jargon, how will I do it? It is something that can be done if you take that step. Again, Claude is sort of your best friend, where it will itself tell you that these are the steps that needs to be done. So it is rendering the page, where, like I said, told you Chromium is similar to Chrome, but in technical ways, it is rendering the page. Then checking speed, page speed insights API that is plugged in with Google Cloud Console. It is calling an API call and taking that page speed insights. And then Claude is sort of putting all these things together, reading screenshots, facts, speed, etc., and everything. And then it is grading against your checklist. And the final step is the simple one, where it is right now, what it is doing right now is like creating that report and writing it down and doing a branded PDF and all, right? Now, the kind of tools that it used for this particular audit, first was Chromium. And like I told you, before I did this audit, even I didn't know about this. A real browser, the open source engine behind Chrome. The page is open for real JavaScript and all, not scraped as raw HTML. So we see what a visitor actually sees, right? So this is not like an like for SEO, we used to do crawling and you would get content of it. It is not that. It is sort of, you saw in screenshots of the page, right? It is taking the exact screenshots of the page, how in mobile and in desktop, how a user would see it, right? And Playwright is the automation that controls the Chromium and emulates it in different, like a mobile version or a desktop version and all. The other technical part that is being used is page speed insights. And that's it. This is pretty simple. Like it is using these two aspects to render the page, take those screenshots, and page speed insights, the one that you see on the browser, and you can run Core Web Vitals. There is an API for that also. So when we do it in automated manner, you enable that API using Google Cloud Console, and you can ping that API to get these results. And the rest is all what Claude is doing, right? So let me just go back and see. Okay, so it has prepared something. Okay, Arpit, don't mind any suggestions. This is a rough rough cut of the audit that is over here. Okay, so what it's saying, solid, well-built Shopify PDF, strong mechanics, but it leaves money on the table above the fold and mobile. So this is critical actually. So LCP of 20 is something to be really worked on, right? Like I told you that ideally it should go somewhere around 3, 4 or so, but 20 is something that needs immediate attention. Okay, it has taken the screenshot of those, and let's see what it is identifying as quick wins over here. Again, a USP subheadline, right? So if you see in the over here, what it says is deep rest, advanced magnesium. But typically people, when they look at it, and especially in the first fold in mobile version, you will see over here. So this is the view 90% of the people would be seeing, right? Especially the mobile one. So what they are seeing is deep rest, advanced magnesium, and that too, there is a blocker over here. Typically, you would want to keep like a subheadline, etc., which is talking about the main benefits and showing it up over here, right? So add a USP subheadline plus 3-4 green check items, surface the star rating plus review count next to the title, and fix mobile load, right? So that again, it has identified as one of the critical things, and then it would have ranked against all the pointers that you saw earlier as well, and given a priority also on what should be P0, P1, P2, and everything, right? So that's a sample audit of how it works. And you saw, if like I would have given permissions quickly, it took 8 minutes, but practically it would have completed that in 3-4 minutes. And if you are able to automate this for one page and you are able to refine this for one page, the next step is that you can actually extend it further. Like you can take it much further and create other things. Like you can add SEO checklist, which is related to metadata or other things, or audit the whole site. You can provide your sitemap.xml, and instead of going one page at a time, you can do like set it up like a weekly check, where it picks up your top 50 pages based on traffic and everything, and audits all of them, provides you a score, and gives you a report whether it is working or not, right? So all that kind of automation is possible over here. I'll just pause and see if there are any questions at this point. Anyone, please feel free to just ask question if there is any.
Hi Yash, I wanted to understand that beyond the audit, can Claude also do changes in Shopify, say do changes in the code, etc., to reduce LCP? So suppose it outlines that these are the 3 reasons why LCP could be high. So can you ask Claude to do those changes in Shopify if you give that permission?
So absolutely, it can do that. Now, Shopify, the technical code of it, right? So there are different ways in which code is changed in Shopify using their Liquid API or the Liquid code that is there, and there are different ways, right? So it will give you the code snippets, etc. Whether it will go and directly change and all, it sort of depends on the pipeline that is created in your own publishing and all. What you can assume is that if, let's say, you are managing some code or making publishing via your terminal, it is possible to make that connection. Although I have not done it for Shopify, I do it for my own website, which is in Next.js, and I'm able to do that. But that is because my entire pipeline is also connected with Claude Code, right? So where like it is also having the GitHub repo access, and then it is publishing the code directly over there. So all that is possible. Depends on the pipeline. In case of Shopify, I've recently I've not like coded on Shopify, so I do not know whether you can connect that pipeline, but definitely it can give you suggestions on what code changes needs to be done.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other question?
Actually, just a small one. So I just joined. I listened to your last part and I listened to this question. So I wanted to know, when we're connecting Claude itself, this will be on which plan as such of Claude?
So see, the basically you have Pro and Max, right, where you can have Claude Code available. So you can do everything in both the plans. It depends on the volume that you want to get done, right?
Correct. So sorry. So then, won't the Shopify thing be possible with either Claude in Chrome or Claude in computer, where I can directly just give it access and tell it you can do this?
So see, the audit part, which is when you are saying Claude in Chrome, you mean via Claude Desktop connecting the Claude in Chrome plugin, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the Claude in Chrome thing is something that I've found having some limitations. So I do not know for sure, okay, whether it will be able to do everything that we want to do as a, because what it is doing is it is controlling your Chrome browser and then like trying to make changes over there and all. But in certain cases, like I tried to use it for my Meta Business Manager, and I found restrictions over there. It was not able to do everything. So I do not know if there will be some restrictions that you will run into in case of Shopify. And you can run code on both Pro and Max, similar for desktop, right? So whether you are doing desktop or Claude Code does not matter whether you are on a Pro subscription or a Max subscription.
Okay, that makes sense. That's great. So, okay, so what I wanted to know is basically this audit thing runs on a skill, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. And this skill uses any external MCPs or just Claude?
No, there is no external MCP that we saw. So what it is using is open source libraries like, so I'm not sure if you got that part, but let me just share that that window again.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really sorry. I was really late.
It's okay. I think some people might have missed that. So you see the tools that it is using is basically Chromium, Playwright, and PageSpeed Insights. That's it. There is no external MCP that it is using.
Okay,
So
great. That
with
makes a lot of
Chromium,
sense.
it is like rendering the page, and Playwright is controlling the emulation on taking screenshots, etc. And PageSpeed Insights API, it is actually using for Core Web Vitals. And then it is doing its analysis as per the checklist that we have provided, right? Which is the previous step that you need to do, where you provide your detailed checklist and then do that audit, which comes from your expertise and some brainstorming with Claude.
Makes sense. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? Pratinava?
Hi, Yash. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
I'm sorry if this gets sidetracked with this conversation that I was listening to, but is it possible to directly place a skill once I've created it into my website's GitHub repo, and every time that I load it up with Claude Code, I can simply have this running as part of the website
So,
instead of conducting it externally? Because then it will directly know what all it is looking at, both from a consumer point of view, let's say, on what the report showed us, versus what code is actually running in the background.
right. So what you said makes sense, but just technically the way Claude Code works is that even if you give access to GitHub repo, it will create a local version and then work on it. So from an access point of view, you're right that it will know the website and it will know the data also, and then it can decide to make changes and automate it. And frankly, for my own website, I do that because it is in Next.js and that kind of pipeline is set up. But like with respect to whether it will directly make changes over there, that is it. So Claude Code by function, it works locally, and then it would like merge like a PR, etc. It will merge to GitHub.
So is it a step in the right direction, or have I missed some safeguards in between?
See, you need to go step by. What I do honestly is go step by step, is have some approvals in between, because you do not want to automate
Understood.
everything that you don't not understand. So for example, first I would look at the quality of these audit reports, whether I'm convinced with it 100%. Once I have like, okay, I've done it 10-15 times, now I'm sure it is doing a great job at creating this report, then probably I will automate it that, okay, it can update some of the code changes in the website, etc., directly over there. Like for example, right now, Claude listens to all these webinars are recorded. It goes through these transcriptions. As per that, it creates my case studies. It creates blogs and publishes automatically. I've given that control. But first, I have done it for like maybe 10 times manually. Seen that the quality is decent. Now I'm not getting into the picture there.
Understood. Understood. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Ayan.
Hello, Yash. Thank you so much for this brief overview of how we can do this audit. I was wondering if you could perhaps share one of the reports that we generated. One was, I think, what you showed, and one was what we generated. So is it possible for you to share one of those just as a benchmark?
Sure. I will, because like what we generated is for a particular brand, but I will share with you an anonymized version.
Of course, anonymized works perfectly fine, but when we go on to build our audit checklists, I think it will be of great help if we have the kind of material that you used.
Sure. After the webinar, I will be sending a recording, this deck, and I'll share one sample audit also.
That sounds excellent. Thank you so much.
Hey, hi Aditya.
Hi Yash, how are you?
Good.
So just a quick fundamental question. So like we have this audit list, right? That landing we need to check that. So how is creating a skill like how does that make a difference versus I just give the website link to Claude Chat and say ki acha like, go and audit these things.
Right. So it's the sort of the repeat value that you are getting, right? And so the skill.md is creating a particular framework which you are using again and again. So if you see the 2 audits that we ran, it gave you in a very particular structure, the framework results were very different, but the framework was exactly the same. And that is being done because it is documented as a skill. Let me just see if I can try and share the skill.md file, which will make it more clear. One second. Just okay. While it opens, I'll maybe take one more question, right, and come back to this. Yeah, Pratham, there's a question. Pratham, is there a question?
Yeah, hello. Yes, sorry. I just wanted to know one more small thing. So,
Yeah.
see, all of these skills are based on, again, prompting, right? You have prompted this to build the skill.md, and
Yeah.
then you have this skill.md, right? Now, there is on a framework that you have set up. So, what we're seeing here is your framework. Now, wouldn't it be entirely possible for me to connect to the same framework? Because all the tools you're using are also, again, uh, uh, completely free, if I believe, right? So, that just building this using prompting shouldn't be a problem, right? What is different here?
No, so that's the purpose of the session, that you can build your own skill. I'm not saying that you have to use what I use, right? So the main difference is that, okay, based on like spending 10 years in marketing, I would know some of the checklist or the pointers, which are, I would say, if you do a good research, you will get it. It's not that it's that difficult to get it, right? But you will like create a skill based on that. What is doing for you is it is saving time. Instead of you prompting every time and all, like what you saw, that I just called the skill and gave the URL, nothing else, right?
Correct.
So think of these as some maybe 100 micro automations that you can do, which will like help you in just getting the work done faster.
Makes sense. Okay, that's great. Now, one more thing I want to know is how do you register a new skill as a skill into your desktop this thing? Because when I try to do it normally, it doesn't come as a skill. I have to write slash the entire thing and then it registers because it uses my Claude.md to actually realize that it's a skill. How do you register it into an actual skill?
So again, it is something that if you prompt and say that you want to create that skill, it will, because skills are available globally. It does not depend on your folder. Okay, so you have like folder-wise Claude.md, and then you have a global Claude.md. And
Correct.
in that, it will have references to all the skills that are present, right? So I'm not sure, maybe that will require some what exact problem you are facing, but with decent prompting that you want this skill to be available globally, Claude will itself create these files.
Creating the skill is not the problem. What I'm asking is, so basically, you know how in the desktop of Claude Pro, if I write slash, then it shows me all the slash commands I have, which includes all my skill deck, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how do I get my newly created skill onto that deck? Is there a certain way and a certain file I need to create?
No, so, okay. So I think it might be a bit different for Claude Code and Claude Desktop. What I'm talking about is Claude Code, right? With
Okay.
these promptings, it saves in a global .skills folder. It
Okay.
saves this markdown file, which is knows to call. And when it automatically, in the next session that you start, it automatically gets added. You do not need to do anything extra over
Okay, so
there.
you run this in a terminal basically.
In terminal. Now in Claude Desktop, I think experience is similar. I might have to check that. Maybe we can
Okay,
connect
that's fine.
offline and
I
figure that
understand
out.
what you're saying now. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, thank you.
Okay, right. So just coming back to the previous thing. So this is, if you see over here, right, this skill.md file. So these are the things which is documented over here and which it is going to use again and again. So there's a checklist, there's a rubric which we created once, and now it is going to use all of that. Even the branding in the PDF, the template had certain branding of VaanarStack and all that is something which is documented over here as rules and all. So it is using this as a source document to do this again and again. And again, don't mistake is that you don't need to write all of these things. Even if, let's say, I have to start from scratch and you have, let's say, you have done a audit manually, right? You have created a PDF or report, you did it in past year back or 6 months back. Just take that report, give it to Claude to break it down, that I want to create this kind of a report automatically. What is the tooling required? How can we create a skill using that? And it will break it down step by step and create that.
Got it. So basically standardization also comes with it. Okay.
Yeah. And then it can be a mini one. It could be expansive. Like I shared one of the example of an expanded version that you can ask it to sort of study your sitemap. So see, this could become a problem when you have a very large team, a catalog of some 2,000 products, and there are like different multifunctional teams uploading products and all, and you cannot actually manually verify each and everything, right? So then what do? You can set up a rule that go to the sitemap of the website, check all the product pages, see the traffic of the website, select the top 100 which has the highest traffic, and do an audit of all those 100 pages and come back with a report and show me a dashboard on that, right? So the part that I automated, it can always be extended to whatever scale you want for you to get that kind of a benefit.
Got it.
Yash, can I also ask something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the thing that you talked about last, understanding how many users are coming on the website, what pages are having traffic, how would I get that data? I mean, how would Claude get that data?
So like I connected Page Speed Insights API, you would have to connect Google Analytics API.
Okay. Fair.
Okay, so in Cloud Console, you can go and enable Google Analytics API, and then it can fetch like it is
GA4
fetching
data.
Page Speed Insights, it will fetch that part.
Fair. GA4 data.
Right. Okay, so before we have any more, I don't know if there is, but if there's any more question, I'll just indulge in a bit of self-promotion. So I'm running a Claude Code for Marketers cohort. First session is already on. There are like a couple of people from our first cohort as well. The second cohort will start on 1st August, and the early bird pricing for it ends on 11 July. What do we cover in that is basically Meta and Google Ads MCPs, how to automate your report, how to use Claude Code and Claude to sort of create similar scales and automate your processes in that. And that is the structure of these pages and all. I'll be sharing the link with everybody in the webinar. Do check it out if you feel you would like to just have some sort of a hand holding to build these skills or just commit this time. Please register, and the session will start on 1st August, but important date is 11 July, by which the early bird pricing will be switched off. Right. Okay, back to any more questions. Okay, I guess that's it then. Yeah, Pratinava, tell me.
Hi, Yash. This was meant specifically for D2C websites, and the skill adapts to it accordingly. But does it figure out a bifurcation between categories of products itself? I noticed the one example you gave where it compared against other competitors in the market for that
Yeah.
health nutraceutical example that you gave, except it's kind of different strokes for different folks when it comes to putting products out there and making things work.
Right.
But the skill would remain uniform. So
So, so again, see, it depends how much of customization you want to achieve. What I have planned for this skill is that do it vertical wise, like have one framework for D2C, then have one framework for lead generation based landing pages like healthcare or real estate, these kind of businesses where it is more about getting somebody to fill in a lead generation form, right, than getting a purchase done. Right. So based on that, like having different types of frameworks, and it can do that job of identifying of what is the objective of that particular page. One option is to also prompt it when you are giving it, if you already know that this is the category that in which it is there. Apart from the category, I think one partially what your question was that it might work well for nutraceuticals, but if let's say there is another category like furniture category or whatever, then what is the best practice over there? We can sort of regularize that competitive research to get the some best practices which are related to that industry and feed that in. If you are doing it time and again, you can also do it in a manner that you the URLs that get checked, whatever are the good insights, it gets stored in a repository or the best practices for an industry, which it can rely on in future to use and do the audit.
got it. So we set the benchmark beforehand.
Yeah.
And once it starts collecting information, it becomes an average out of it, is what I understood.
Right. So that is, so it's a choice. See, one is if you already have experience in the sector, you can give it that, okay, I want to compare. I know these are the best standards. Let's compare against this. If that's not there, then you can ask Claude to do some research based on competence. What are people communicating? And based on that, are there any inferences that we should be using on this landing pages? And it will do that. It can do that web search and do that analysis.
Got it. One final question, and this is kind of gauging for your opinion as well, is that do you think this differs drastically when it comes to mobile optimization of these D2C websites? Because okay, in my personal opinion, let's say when I'm trying to fix one element, I fix that and I find that that change has broken something else. For example, one of your initial slides mentioned, or I think one of the examples mentioned, that a description is a best practice, except description, adding a description either means a subheadline, means that either I have moved or pushed something else below the fold. So, I tried to fix something and then created something else for like another issue for myself.
So, so
your take
that's
on
what,
that?
So my take is that we have to decide what are the 3-4 most important things. For me, if I have to ask, like, what is my opinion on it, the image visuals, the main headline, benefits either in the main headline or as subheadline is critical to be shown. Okay, and then the price and CTA. These are the like 3-4 things that I generally look at. And if there is a conflict that, okay, should I drop this element versus that, I would really have these 4 elements for sure over there to look at. And then there's always there's very limited space on mobile specifically, right? You have to work with the designers to figure that out, how exactly you put it and all, right?
Understood. Actually, could I ask one more question?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Again, your take on this. Do you think some of these metrics fall short or do not directly apply to an Indian audience?
Like what
Anywhere, anywhere across the board. For example, a lot of, let's say Shopify's own blogs, for example, give a lot of good information. And then you realize that all of those are optimized for aesthetic and appeal and information, which is all well and good. But then you realize the Indian market prioritizes price above everything else. At least that has been the mental model that I've built. So
the mental model is Indian audience is always value conscious. Okay.
yes,
So the price that you are showing, and maybe I don't know if what I just said I missed price as well, but that has to be there in terms of.
you mentioned it. You mentioned it, of
Right.
course. I was figuring out if there are other such things that hold more importance.
So for Indian audience, showcasing why that benefits is there is, see, benefits communication works everywhere. Now, this could be very I don't know in what context you're asking or which industry, and that might require some separate discussion. But I feel that Indian audience, they are, I would again use the term value conscious more than price. If they feel that this is good value for money, they will pay 10,000 also. But if they feel that, no, this is something that I can get in 50 rupees, I will not pay 100 rupees. Right. So that is, and then how do you communicate that value that what we are actually putting is worth for that 100 rupees, although you can actually get maybe a similar product in 50 rupees, is something on the copy and the communication that goes that way.
Right.
If you are not able to figure out, then probably your customer is also not able to figure out, then price is the direct comparison. Then it is that, okay, yahan itna mil raha hai, and then price, maybe there are like general trends.